There's a chilling tale that haunts the town of Ravenswood, a tale that's passed down through hushed voices. A story that still sends shivers down the spine of anyone brave enough to speak it aloud. It all started many years ago when a woman named Evelyn moved into the old, decaying house on Willow Street. A house that had been abandoned for decades, left to rot and crumble under the weight of time. People avoided it, passing by with only fleeting glances, but Evelyn was different. She moved in, with no family, no visitors, just her and the house. The neighbors didn't know much about her. She was quiet, always keeping to herself, never seen in town except for the occasional trip to the grocery store, where she would buy strange items, her basket often filled with herbs, candles, and bottles of strange liquid. The air around her seemed different, as though she was hiding some dark secret. But the real mystery began with the whispers. At first, it was only faint, like the breeze, soft and elusive. But as time went on, the whispers grew louder. People walking down Willow Street at night would swear they heard voices, muffled, like they were coming from inside the walls. But there were no signs of anyone living there, and no one dared to get too close. After all, the house had a reputation of being cursed. Some believed it was the site of dark rituals. Others said it was just a product of the town's vivid imaginations. But the most disturbing thing? Evelyn was never seen leaving the house. Neighbors began to wonder if she even slept or ate. And soon, the gossip took on a life of its own. One night, a group of local teenagers, bored and curious, decided to explore the house. They had heard the stories, but they didn't believe in ghosts or anything supernatural. They thought it was just another urban legend. The night was cold, the air thick with tension as the group approached the house. The full moon cast long shadows, and the once grand front door creaked open, as if inviting them inside. The smell of old wood and mildew hit them the moment they stepped in, the floorboards groaning beneath their weight. They walked through the darkened halls, their flashlights flickering as they explored, each room colder than the last. The whispers grew louder, like a chorus of voices, but none of them could make out the words. Then they came to the living room. It was exactly as they'd heard, a rocking chair sitting in the middle of the room, gently moving back and forth. And there she was, Evelyn, sitting in the chair, her pale face barely visible in the dim light, staring at the far wall, unmoving. Her eyes were wide open, but there was something off about her. The teenagers froze, their hearts pounding in their chests, as a chill ran down their spines. It wasn't Evelyn's presence that terrified them most. It was the shadow behind her. A shadow that wasn't attached to her body, moving as if it had a life of its own. The teenagers could barely breathe as they watched the shadow twist and writhe, like it was alive, and yet the woman didn't react. It was as if she didn't even notice it. Suddenly, one of the teens, Mark, mustered enough courage to call out to her. "Evelyn?" he asked, his voice trembling. The whispering around them grew louder, overlapping, as if thousands of voices were speaking all at once. Evelyn slowly turned her head, and for the briefest moment, their eyes locked. Her eyes were empty, hollow, as if there was nothing behind them. "Leave," she whispered in a voice that wasn't hers. The words echoed, as if the entire room was speaking them. The group fled the house, running as fast as they could. As they made it to the end of Willow Street, they dared to glance back. The house stood silent, the rocking chair still moving by itself. But then, as they looked up at the window, they saw it. The figure of Evelyn standing at the glass, staring at them. But she wasn't moving. She was frozen in place, staring at them with those same lifeless eyes. The next day, the house was gone. Vanished. No sign that anyone had ever lived there. No furniture, no belongings, just an empty lot. It was as if Evelyn had never existed. But the whispers didn't stop. In fact, they became louder. Some nights, people say if you stand near the lot where the house once stood, you can hear the faint sounds of rocking chairs creaking and whispers calling your name from the dark. And those who are brave enough to stand there long enough, just long enough to listen, swear they see shadowy figures moving in the corner of their eyes. The whispers say one thing: they're coming for you next.